To stock down. Whose stock went down today? Well, Brock Purdy's stock went down. Anytime you throw 3 picks in one half and then coach loses all trust and confidence in you, takes the ball out of your hands and makes you Jimmy Garoppolo, it's not good. Fortunately, he already got paid. Can you imagine if the Niners had just been patient and not given him extension? What would he be worth right now? What would he be worth right now? 4 starts, 7 picks, 8 touchdowns, and a toe injury. Nothing? But he got paid already. But Kyle Shanahan, stock way down. Monday Night Football, you think he's going to show off. He's going to have incredible ideas. No. He has the same idea he's had since 2022. Give it to Christian. Where's Christian? Can I hand it to Christian? Should I throw it to Christian? Those 2 guys, stock down. Renardo Green. That touchdown catch he gave up to Ted McMillan was terrible. He was completely on his heels, sitting on like a curl. McMillan runs a post and is wide open. Renardo Green, he's not physical. He doesn't tackle, and he doesn't intercept passes. He does that. But every once in a while, he breaks up a pass. I guess Renardo would be my other stock down. I don't really have many more. Let's go through Super Chats. Double B Studio says, Mac was a top 10 quarterback this year. Where would Purdy have ranked if he would have played this whole time? Or does he get a pass due to the toe? Man, if he had played 12 games this year, he'd have 25 picks. He's 7 picks in 4 games. Double B Studio says, what did we learn that we better than Arizona and Carolina? Marco Bravo says, Purdy buns. Anyone who says otherwise is delusional. Nasi says, I thought that holding my breath feeling every time the ball goes 10 yards down the field is gone after Jimmy G left. Apparently that feeling is back. Does it feel good? Do you like that? Graham Adair 20 says, this is why the Niners should never trade Mac Jones. Agree. The young Montana been a member for 51 months. Thank you so much. That's a long time. Nelson says, Juice unlocks the offense. That fake snap. Wow. T. Young says, no way does Ayuk's dissatisfaction have nothing to do with the Niners' commitment to Purdy. David says, Purdy's, not reading that one. Jay's got junk says, do you think CMC needs more touches? 31 seems low. Nate says, he also had Kittle open on a slant on the second pick. That's correct. DBZ Warlord says, Niners covered versus a team that had won 5 of 7 Super Bowl bound. Yeah, that's the way to look at it. Double B Studio says, Purdy throwing interceptions because he don't do Jimmy pumps. David Trinidad 02, ignoring tonight's barrage of interceptions, which quarterback managed to throw the more beautiful spirals? Purdy. Austin K says, Brock defenders forgot about that Rams game. I think they had flashbacks tonight. Sudden Chaos says, I was screaming when we picked up Mac in the offseason to trade Purdy and not extend him. The leadership on this team just does nothing but let the fans down. Graham says, giving Ayuk that extension along with the extensions to CMC and Purdy should cost John Lynch's job. I want him fired. What about Kyle? Josh Wyatt says, does anything make you more confident than the sight of Saleh smirking on the sideline? There should be a coaching controversy, not a quarterback controversy. Not a quarterback controversy? What about both? Not a quarterback controversy? What are you kidding? T. Young says, Brock equals all window dressing to throw a 4-yard pass. William says, we all forget Brock was a 7th-round pick for a reason. Great mentality, but never had the arm or the tape to be a top 10 quarterback. Horrible contract. Sober Asark says, Brock is an elite quarterback. Mac would have thrown 5 picks, and I'll be a hater. Ha! Yeah, man, anytime you face that Carolina Panthers defense, it's tough. Railgar1 says they won't admit the play calls were bad, predictable. They? The real Harvey Dent says, Grant, I get Brock sucks, but please stop moving goalposts when the team wins a game. You said it would be a statement win to beat the Panthers. Did you see the Panthers tonight? Did we watch the same game? I was wrong. They suck. Jorge Guzman says, should the Niners go for Bryce Young in 2026? He kind of sucked, but his skill set is very similar to Brock's, so maybe they'd have success with him. Graham says there isn't a quarterback controversy anymore. It's crystal clear that Mac is at least as good. Actually, I'll freaking say it. Mac is better. Yeah, he is better. Christopher says, will Kyle ever say anything negative about Brock? Not after paying him. CNL says, it appears the your play sucks man is imminent. The Real Harvey Dent says Mac will play in the postseason. What postseason? Playoffs? Playoffs? Real Harvey Dent says Mac would have hit Ricky P 3 times tonight. Strong arm. Christopher says he thinks he's Dan Marino. Graham says Kyle will never stop using CMC no matter how bad he is. Their schedule will be much harder next year for them, and Robert Saleh will leave. ACUSTS says the Niners play who we pay. Doug says they'll change their story about Brock tomorrow. Agree. Herbie Holland says, first, fire Shanahan now. Brock Purdy is trash. Cleveland will kick their ass, and it won't be close. This team is unwatchable. CMC left, CMC right, CMC cash, and Brock Purdy interceptions. Niners trash. Graham says no O-line once Trent retires. Kyle useless. Bye-bye. NVX Media says we want McCorkle Jones. Stefan says, did Brock know we were wearing red? Faithful to the base says bench Brock for Mac. V. Strass says Jawan fought hard today. I'd like to see him back next year. Okay. Henry says we won the game, but you all acting like we lost. Shake my head. S2 Bling says Brock needs investigating with Chauncey for fraud. Nick says $53 million for that? When we could have traded for Joe Milton, 6'5", 240 pounds, 4'5", 40-yard dash, a missile of an arm, the tools you want in a quarterback, or just go with Mac.